Hey everyone, I am back, particularly Lakia. I am back to honor your other requests that you wanted me to do. In addition to Janet Jackson, you also wanted me to do a reading for her sister, Rebbie Jackson. So as I said that I did honor that request, and so now we are going to now chime into what Rebbie what is happening with her, and addressing the questions that you particularly wanted to know about her. Okay, but before we get into those questions, as always, let me just kind of just do a brief intro about Rebbie Jackson. So just like Janet, of course, Rebbie Jackson is a part of the most famous family in the world. And although now it is known that Rebbie is the oldest of all her siblings, so she is the oldest child. And although Rebbie will be looked at as the least known performer of the Jackson sibling type of hood, so to speak, she was in her own right a successful singer. And it is stated that Rebbie was actually the first of her sisters, of the Jackson sisters, to find solo success, scoring a gold record with Centipede. All right? So even though she's not the most popular, but like I said, she did have her time in the spotlight and with her fame and success behind that record. So, even though, like I said, she didn't have much of a long, successful career, but she did make her mark during the time that she did. All right? So with that being said, we want to point out that Rebbie's zodiac sign is a Gemini. That makes her an air sign. All right? And I just also want to point out that her father, Joe Jackson, is a Leo. He's a fire sign. Now, why did I bring him into the picture? Well, it goes right to one of the questions that Lakia wanted to know. Her first question is, she had two questions, so her first one we want to address is, she wanted to know, why did Rebbie leave her parents' house before she got married at a young age? And so, Lakia, I'm here to tell you that in me bringing up the sign of Joe Jackson, Rebbie's father, is because along with Rebbie, I picked up strongly his energy. So his energy is very dominant in this reading, okay? And it will kind of explain more in further detail what was her intentions, what was her motives behind her leaving her family's house when she was 16, because I believe it was 16 that she did leave, and prior to her getting married later on. So let's get right into it. Let's see the cards that came out for Rebbie. And so the first card that came out was the Four of Wands. So for me, this is, I got two messages when I pulled this card out. The first message, as I just pointed out, that her father, Joe Jackson, is, what did I say he was? He's a Leo, a fire sign. And so fire signs, or I should say wands, represents the fire sign, right? Now, before I get to that, I will say that a part of one of her reasons of leaving was freedom, getting away from something. And in particular, what was she getting away from? I feel and believe that it was primarily from her father. Okay? So even though you spoke about parents, yes, with Catherine being her other parent, but Catherine energy I didn't pick her energy up as much. Very rarely, very little. Like I said, her father energy shows up, and it showed up as the Four of Wands. So I feel that even though a part of her did want to leave for just overall freedom, but the question is, what was the motive? Why did she want to leave? And so I feel that it goes back to her father, Joe Jackson, okay? Because one's energies is a very intense energy, right? Depending on how the reading goes and the flow of it, it can mean a passion for something or someone. It could just mean, overall looking towards something that you are passionate about. But in this scenario, this is representing her father having a very stern, firm, strict hold on her, right? And I feel that in the interim of things, that there was something that made her very upset, caused pain. And so as we now go down to clarify the Four of Wands, we have here the Page of Cups, followed by the Eight of Swords, and then we have the Seven of Swords. Now I will say as well that a lot of swords have come out in this spread for this reading, which means, again, overall, I could just say that it was just a lot of trauma and pain that she experienced during that time in that home, okay? I'm not going to go too deep in and to be so particular about it, because I want to be very cautious with certain things that I say. And when I, see things for what it is, right? I can speak upon it, but at the same time, there's a certain type of discretion that I want to kind of be mindful of, okay? And so tapping into what pain or trauma that she experienced in that home before she left, it was something that was very disturbing, something that was in fact traumatizing, because we have here the Page of Cups, right? So the Page of Cups is a young energy here, right? So despite the fact that it's showing a young masculine energy, this could very well be a feminine energy. And normally pages, they bring news, they bring offers. Particularly here, this is like an offer, right? Because the cups we see here, this image is holding a cup of a Pisces, but that's not the point. It's the attitude and the energy behind what it's representing, particularly for this particular reading. And so for me, the Four of Cups is an unloving gesture, if you will. So in actuality, to me, it's the reverse. Now, I don't do reversals, but I can definitely speak about the opposite energy of a card. So where normally this would be a loving gesture or a loving offer, in her situation, this was an unloving energy from her father. And so as we go deeper in with the clarifying cards, we have here energies that represents the swords. Seven of Swords as well as the Eight of Swords. So if you really look, this energy here, right? This is like Rebbie, feeling trapped, feeling restricted, right? Almost not having no type of freedom in any kind of way. But also, it could be a situation that kind of has her up against the wall, so to speak, where it puts her in a very uncomfortable situation, okay? And with the Seven of Swords next to that energy, it represents something that happened that was in fact deceptive, malicious, something that was secretive, something that was hidden. Whatever this may point to, right? It was something that indeed was something that made her uncomfortable. And it kind of put her in a state of hopelessness, if you will, okay? And as I channel that moment, it is something that is quite questionable, but at the same time, it is something that you will say that was secretive, like I mentioned. But, Seven of Swords is, sneakiness, something that is not meant to be seen, okay? Something that is hidden behind closed doors, okay? And I'm going to leave it at that. So, use your intuition and kind of maybe, read between the lines, okay? Read between the lines and kind of see how that might be applied into that scenario that I just pointed out to you without being too direct. I hope you can feel me on this one. Anyone else who's looking and trying to figure out, well, what does she mean there and why is she? It's because, like I said, I want to use discretion. But at the same time, I need you guys to as well open up your minds and kind of just understand where I might be leading with that, okay? So, with that being said, we go to the next cards, and we have, yet again, we have the Eight of Swords, which has come out again. So remember, it was here at the bottom to clarify the Four of Wands. And yet, at the top, as we move over, it has come out again, which signifies trauma. That she went through some kind of trauma experience, right? Something that really has made her feel very restricted. Almost like I said, her back against the wall, so to speak. You know, a situation where, you know, at the same time, perhaps it was something that had to be kind of sealed, something that wasn't meant to be revealed, something that was meant to just be between, let's just say that it was something that, for the moment, it wasn't meant to be talked about, okay? And she felt entangled somehow, where she wasn't able to feel. She felt hopeless, as I mentioned before, right? So again, with Eight of Swords being here, it just signifies some type of trauma, some type of situation or an experience that really hurt her, okay? And now as we move over to the next energies, we have here the High Priestess, and we have the Three of Wands, okay? So this is, again, Wands energy is picking up the energy pertaining to her father, because he's Leo, which is a fire sign. So when we look at the two here, this is someone that is very stern. Anytime fire come into a reading, you know, not only does it represent passion, but it's stern. It's something that's firm. It's an action that is taken, right, because of the power that you feel. So in fact, we already know what kind of personality and what has been said about Joe Jackson, him being very strong, having a very firm type of, he was a very hands-on disciplinary. You can put it, okay, I'll put it that way. He was a hands-on disciplinary parent versus the mom, Catherine, right? If anything, I don't even recall or think that perhaps she may have spared the rod or scolded them, but it was Joe that was more hands-on when it came to the disciplinary action taken, right? And even not only when it came to the boys, but I believe that even with the girls at some point, maybe not as much, but I feel that somehow she might have, quote unquote, allegedly, okay, in this reading I'm going to say alleged, because again, we don't know all the facts, right? But allegedly, she might have been abused in some way or another, right? But whatever it was enough where it did make her want to decide to leave the home. Because the next card we have here is the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is deciding, making a decision, having options, having choices. And this is where I feel where she might have, when she left, she might have went to another family member. I believe, or feel, I should say, that she might have somehow reached out to another family member. I don't know per se if she was very detailed as to what may have happened. You know, I don't know if she shared it with that family member, but I feel that when she left the home, the Jackson's home, that in fact she went to another family member, right? And we have here the color fly. To clarify the Seven of Cups, we have here the Page of Wands, we have the Three of Swords, and we have the Five of Swords. So again, we're talking about swords energy here coming yet into the picture. And with the Page of Wands, again, this is an image, you know, that is someone that is very stern again. You know, when you think about, like I said, the firmness, the sternness, anything that at this point that is restrictive, very forcing, so to speak, that I feel will be the father. And I think overall, as I mentioned, that he was the the reason behind her leaving, okay? It was something about her and her father, and no doubt her and her father did not have a good relationship or what have you, right? But also now we come to Three of Swords. The Three of Swords is feeling hurt, right? And pain, crying, if you will, a heartbreak, right? Because I feel that while she was dealing with whatever situation it was between her and her father, if she did confide in her mother, I really think that at that point, Catherine was just one of those parents that she really, I think as well, because Joe was so controlling, it even came to Catherine as well. He was controlling over her, right? She didn't really have much to say. She might have gave her opinion, but it wasn't enough where, he backed down. He was just a very, like a ruling stern force in that household when you're thinking about the two parents. And so I really think that Catherine was just very, I don't want to say subservient, but she didn't have much to say, and unfortunately, I don't think she felt neglected. Speaking about Rebbie, I think she felt neglected and felt a certain way when it came to her not getting the love and support, allegedly, perhaps from her mom, right? Now we move to the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords, again, it just speaks about conflict. But you see this person is holding a sword. This could be very well, not a physical sword, but some type of a rod, like a rod. Some type of, again, a disciplinary way of dealing with a child, if you will, right? And again, with her being, young, I feel that it was coming down where she just could no longer deal with that and to want to be under that household, let alone to even be under such a stern parent like her father. We move over to the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups not only speaks about, things from your past, but it speaks about memories. So in her kind of reflecting back and thinking about the things that have transpired in that home, whatever and however this have connected with her father, it was a memory that was disturbing for her. It was a memory that she won't forget. It was a memory that brought her trauma, a memory that brought her some type of pain. Now, if he in fact did inflict some type of beating to her, that could be that. That could be one aspect of what it is. Perhaps, beating her. Don't know. Even if it was just one time, okay? Because I don't think it was multiple times. I feel that it may just have taken just one major disciplinary action on his part that really traumatized her, right? It could have been very intense, right? So that's what I get with that. And then to clarify the Six of Cups, we have here the Ten of Pentacles, we have the Chariot, and we have the Seven of Wands. Now, when I saw the Chariot, I immediately felt it was the parents. The mother on one side, and we have the father on the other side. And interestingly enough, when I don't know if I mentioned Catherine's zodiac sign, she as well is a Taurus, so she's an earth sign. And then, of course, the father is a Leo, the fire sign. So when you look at these energies, we have the mother being a Taurus or earth sign, right? And on the other side of the middle of this Chariot being there, we have the Wands representing the father, right? And I feel that, again, when at this point, I believe when Rebbie may have decided that she was going to leave, now whether or not they were conscious of her leaving or she just struck out on her own and did it, I didn't tap into that. But overall, I just feel that, and maybe because of the fact that the parents are here, I feel that this may have been the aftermath after she left, right? I don't know per se. She may not have even let them know. She may have done this on her own. And I feel that perhaps the aftermath of her leaving, that now you have the reaction from both parents. And again, I feel that Catherine Had very little. Not that she didn't want her, not that she wanted her daughter to leave, because I feel, being the oldest child, that she was, in fact, one of her favorite children, because being the oldest, right? And so she had a certain type of relationship with her, because being the oldest, that means that what? She was her firstborn. So I feel that she did feel a certain way when she left home. But now when you talk about the father, I feel like maybe he could care less. But again, what kind of raises an eyebrow is whatever that took place between him and Rebbie, it was something where at the same time he might have been nervous. If anything, he might have been nervous about her leaving, because now it's like, is she going to go and tell what has happened? That's what I get, right? Now, as we move over, we come to the Ten of Swords. Swords energy here again. But this is an energy of walking away. So this is Rebbie, walking away. Okay? And to clarify that, the reason again behind her walking away, we have here Six of Swords, Ten of Swords, and the Three of Cups. So again, a lot of swords energy. Swords is not the best energy that you want to come out, because swords, when you think about what they can represent, they can bring harm. It brings pain, right? Unlike the cups, it's not a loving type of energy. And with the Three of Cups here, this is why I felt as well she left, because at this point she feels that she didn't get the love, definitely not from her father, but as well from her mother, right? And that she felt neglected at the same time. And so with that being said, then she felt that the best thing for her to do is to go and stay with another family member until such time come, which we know she did wind up later on getting married. And then at that point, perhaps then, she was more in a better place mentally, emotionally, right? And then as we wind out and close out, what pops up again is the Nine of Swords. So like I said, with the swords energies coming out here, this just kind of just seals the deal and just brings it on home that overall, what was her motive, what was her intentions, why did she leave, was because there was a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, and it was probably bad enough that she didn't want to stay there anymore, right? Whatever it was something that was very excruciating for her to bear, that she felt she needed to leave that environment, because the environment, along with that, whatever she experienced, but then there were other drama. Like, I just felt that, her being the oldest child at that point, I just feel that she felt like, well, I'm the oldest child, and, I'm at a point where I'm mature, but I see things that I don't like what's going on in this environment, a whole lot of stuff that I just don't want to just be a part of anymore, right? And it made her to just want to leave. Now, as we close out and wind down, to clarify the Nine of Swords again, we have here Ace Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, and the Lovers, right? So again, this just speaks about her, to me, moving into an environment, right? Because the Ace of any suit is a beginning. So this is like her just starting fresh into another environment, right? And when we have the Lovers here, to me, this just speaks upon perhaps an energy where she went to another family member that actually would give her love, would give her the attention that I felt that she didn't get when she was with her parents, right? And so, unfortunately, that's what led her, I believe, to leave at a young age prior to her getting married. All right, Lakia, so I hope I addressed that question that you had. And then your other question was, which I think you mentioned in your comment when you requested this, you was a little nervous to want to ask this, but nonetheless, you wanted to know, is Rebbie's Janet's real mother? And the reason you wanted to know that is because you feel that they look so much alike. And yes, they really do look alike. And It is common because they are related. But getting back to your question, is she Janet's real mother? The answer is no. And the reason I feel that way is because we have here the King of Pentacles, right? Followed by the High Priestess. In addition to the other cards here, which I'm going to point out, so we got these two. We have the Seven Pentacles. We have the Three of Pentacles. And we have the Ten of Cups. So what do all of these energies mean collectively in terms of answering your question? I feel the answer is no, that she is not Janet's mother. She is her sibling, right? And it was stated that a while back, it was stated that because, again, her being the oldest, right, as most older siblings do, what is it that they do when they have other siblings? Especially if you have more than, two siblings, but the more of you there is among the children, it's going to be the oldest child that's going to be like the caretaker. It's going to be the mother, right? Particularly if it's an older daughter, right? And so because it was so many of them, Rebbie was just like another mother. In addition to Catherine, she was just like another mother because she was wise. She was mature. She knew how to kind of really take on that role, right? And because we have the Ten of Cups here, Ten of Cups means family. This is the family card. So it's also noted, we know that she also had 10 kids, Catherine that is. Catherine had 10 children, and I believe that it just left them with 9 because I think there was one child that passed during childbirth, but if not childbirth, young. So it left her with 9 children, but the fact that we have the 10 here, it does represent her looking after her siblings, the family, right? And offering support, putting in, whatever, having her being put in that role to take care and be supportive and to give, babysitting them at times whenever she couldn't for whatever reason, right? And then the Seven of Pentacles, delegating the work to her, because this is Seven of Pentacles speaks about work. So in fact, she was delegated the work to look after her brothers and sisters, right? And so, like I said, I do recall some time ago that she mentioned, that she was like a mother figure as well, a second mother to her siblings, because like I said, she was the oldest. So it kind of makes sense, right? When you think about it, with any family, again, that is large in size, generally that happens, so although they may resemble, but I feel that no, that she is not Janet's mother, that she is in fact the sister, along with all her other siblings. All right, Lakia. So Lakia, this is what I got pertaining to Rebbie. I hope that I addressed your questions. If in fact you did appreciate and like this reading, you know what to do. Send some fire to that thumbs button. And anyone else who have watched this video, if you want, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know your thoughts about this reading. And until the next subscribers request, which actually I will have another subscribers shout out in a little while, a little later on, to yet honor another request coming in from another subscriber. All right, guys, until the next one, I'm wishing all of you a wonderful Thursday evening.